What's up, you guys? All right, so this is not really what we're talking about, but we want to talk about this too, so we will. So this is a done for you meal. We just had lunch. It took us 4 minutes. It's fantastic, and it's really healthy. But anyway.
So we get oftentimes asked, one of the things obviously we talk about with Shift is nourishment, and nutrition is a part of that. And so, you know, especially during these time frames of people that normally tend to eat out and everything else, and things are tending to open up more and more and more.
Hey, Zach.
Zach, what's up, bud? We, you know, this company we've been working with for quite some time, you know, especially us being in the industry that we are known to work in. That's obviously one of the bigger pieces in, you know, the fundamental piece of health is obviously nourishment and nutrition. So if you are struggling with meals, you have trouble, you know, preparing your own stuff, and this whole time frame has brought about its own level of obstacles to go through. You know, this is one thing that we have found to be very beneficial. It's literally flash, what do they say on there? Flash freeze, yes.
Frozen.
And then they deliver it right to your door. Super easy, super effective. Has all the information on there if you are doing macros and everything else. But, you know, efficiency and ease.
And they're really, I mean, they're good, right?
Yeah, they're honestly really, really good.
You can choose 4 ounces, 6 ounces. Like the veggies are really, you can get broccoli or green beans. You can get rice. You can get sweet potatoes. You can get red potatoes. You can get salmon steak. Like they're really, really good. So we branched out this time. Yeah, I just had steak and broccoli and potatoes. What'd you just have?
I just had ground beef, broccoli, and white rice.
Yeah. So anyway, so if you guys want info, we've got a link we can send you for it. They've got big sales on right now, and you get free protein powder and all that good stuff. But anyway, just sharing that. And you can save yourself a lot of money by not going to Starbucks, by buying iced coffee and making it at home. So Braden keeps trying to steal my coffee, so I finally made him one. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. So what are we talking about? So who knows? If you know this, I'm gonna call on you guys. What is a COI? Anybody know what a COI is? So probably you know what an ROI is. Who knows what an ROI is? Anyone? There's too much of a delay for this. So what's an ROI, Braden?
Return on investment.
Return on investment, right? So people talk about that a lot. Like, what's your return on investment if you hire a coach, if you hire a company, if you join a gym, if you know, have somebody market for you, like whatever it is, what's your return on investment? So that's really important. But I think what people don't often talk about enough is your COI, which is your cost of inaction, right? And so if you think about this, we've talked about people either move towards pleasure or away from pain, right? And so like your ROI, you're moving towards pleasure, right?
Yeah,
mostly.
It's not going to cost you as much,
right? Because you're like,
you're getting more out of it than what you're going to expend.
Exactly. And so you're like, okay, this is my dream life. This is my ROI. But what we don't talk about is what's our COI. Like, what's your cost of inaction, right? And so think about this. If I do nothing, right? So let's say you're stuck with your body, with your emotional state, with your business, like whatever it is. If you're in a place for your relationship, yeah, if you're in a place where you're like, gosh, I'm just not where I want to go. And you're trying to decide, well, do I get help? Do I, what do I need to do? You've got to think, if you do nothing, what is that costing you, right? And it's probably not going to be dollars, right? But like, is it costing you your health? Is it costing your happiness? Is it costing your relationship? Is it costing your business, right? And it's like, staying stuck in this, like, is this creating the life that you don't want versus investing in yourself and creating the life that you do want? And a lot of times we don't think about that. Like, well, if I don't do anything, where are you going to be in 6 months? Where are you going to be in a year, right? And for most of us, the unfortunate answer is I'm going to be in the same place or a worse place than I am right now.
Most likely a worse place. Because you're either, yet again, we talked about it before, you're either growing or dying, right? Like you're either expanding or you're going the opposite direction. Things don't stay stagnant. That's just the way of the world. Not everything changes, everything evolves, right? And so I think oftentimes we get into the place of like, I'm okay with where I'm at right now. Okay, like, but first that is like, well, what is okay, right? Like, does that really, and like, what is, I'm okay with what's going on right now. I'm okay with what my scenario, I'm okay with my job, right? Like, well, yet again, like, that's a decision for yourself, but like for myself, for us, like, I want more than okay, right? Like I want more than okay just for my relationships. I want more than okay for what we do on a day-to-day basis. I want more than okay for my kids as they go through their life, right? Like I want to find something that moves, that drives, that inspires, that gets me going, that creates motivation for me to want to do more with my life, right? But I think what we've been taught oftentimes is like, well, these are the check boxes you're supposed to check, and that's okay to do these things, and maybe that might bring you happiness and every now and then bring you pleasure, where it's like, well, no, if that's not what's going on, like maybe we really need to take a deeper look of seeing what it is that you're not doing, right? Instead of what you are doing, and how you can implement little things in there that actually get you to do the things that, or create the things that you want to create.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we talk about, right, like, where do you want to be in 6 months? And for a lot of people, that's hard, of like, well, where do I want to be? If I could have the perfect life, what would that look like, right? But a lot of times we don't think about, well, if I don't act, if I don't move, if I don't shift something, where am I really going to be, right? Because that's a hard question. And it's not a question that we want to be like, okay, well, if I don't do anything, I'm going to be in a way worse scenario in 6 months. But when you really can get honest with yourself and say, okay, where are you right now, right? Like, and I know that's hard, but if you can just take some time and say, where am I right now in my physical health, in my emotional health, in my spiritual health, in my relationships? Like, just sit down and look at that stuff and go, okay, where am I actually, right? No judgment, just accept where you truly are. And then say, okay, if I act, where could I be in 6 months, right? And if I don't act, where might I be in 6 months, right? And a lot of times when you really look at that and you're like, well, is that what I want for my life in 6 months? And the answer is usually going to be no. So it's like, okay, well, what do I need to do, right? And the reason most people don't take action is because it's scary, right? Like, it's fear. It's like, well, I don't know. I don't know what it would be like to work with a coach. I don't know what it's going to look like to go dive into my inner child stuff. I don't know what it's going to look like to walk into a new gym. I don't know what it's going to feel like to change my nutrition, right? And so it's the fear of the uncertainty and the fear of the unknown that keeps people from moving, right? But if you can come up with some certainty and like, if this is where I am and I know I'm going the wrong direction, what you know to be true is that in 6 months you could be in worse health, your business could be failing, your relationship could be failing, and then it's like, okay, well, if I don't do this, that's inevitable. So the fear of not moving, it's like the fear of regret, is going to be a bigger, your cost of inaction is going to be way bigger than your cost, your return on investment. So,
well, it's the faith or fear, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the which F are you living into, right? Like, and both of them are essentially hypothetical, right? Like you're either living into the aspect of faith of, hey, I know it's not guaranteed because there's very, very little in this world that is, but if I take these actions and go in the direction that I feel is right for me, hopefully it's going to move me in that direction to the things that I want to create, right? Versus if I'm in fear, and we're seeing a lot of that right now, as the world starts to open up, and Courtney talked about that yesterday, of as things start to expand and open up a little bit more, you're starting to see people go the opposite direction of like, well, I know I'm safe, I'm comfortable right now, and getting outside my house, they may elicit these XYZ that I do or do not know about, right? And it's like, well, yet again, is that fear controlling you and holding you back from yet again moving in the direction that you want to go? And it may be not even be in this circumstance, but it may be in other elements of your life of, okay, it's human nature to do those things, right? Like it's not necessarily your fault. It's human nature of when we find certainty, we want to hold on to that, right? And so it's being able to create a new relationship with that. And oftentimes it's taking the look back and simply just almost like writing the pros and the cons, right? Like, okay, if I do take action, this is what the potential result could be. And if I don't take action, these are also the potential results of what this could be, right? Because yet again, when I'm just rolling through these things in my brain in an intellectual aspect, every time that I have a thought, the following thing behind that is trying to justify that, right? Like it wants to prove that I'm right by having these things. So by writing them down and actually becoming clear and creating clarity, right? Like clarity elicits power. Like it allows you to see and create a map and create a vision for what you want in your life, right? And we see that oftentimes with couples. We see that with certain things like, well, this is just the way it's supposed to be. Well, what do you want, right? Like really be clear about that. What do you want and why do you want it, right? Like it's, yet again, it's not rolling through like the how, I need this process, I need these things. What is it that you want and why is it so vitally important for you? And that way you can see like, oh wow, I'm actually the one thing that's standing in the way of my life. And ultimately that's really what it is.
You're always the one thing that's standing in your way, right? And I think back to like when I joined my program, I mean, it was a large investment financially that we really weren't in the right place to do. But like, I knew that what it was costing me was, it was costing me my happiness. It was costing, it was affecting our relationship. It was affecting how I was as a mother. It was just, like 25 years of being stuck in eating disorders and hating my body and hating myself and thinking about all the times I missed out because I wasn't able to be present because I was so worried about, can I eat this? What's, how am I going to feel? How am I going to look? Like all of those things. And it was like, the cost of inaction was so massive that the only thing I could do was move forward, right? And it was like, I finally listened to my gut and not my brain and said, I've got to look at this. This might be scary, but I need to actually look at this. I need to move through it. And like, it changed every single thing in my life, right? So staying in my comfort zone and like, knowing that if I just kept holding on to my eating disorder, like that kept me secure, that kept me safe, that wasn't working, right? And so really, I think we just don't ask this question enough, right? Like if I don't do anything, where am I gonna be, right? And all of a sudden, you're like, I just survived my life. I didn't thrive, I didn't create anything, I wasn't present, I didn't live the life I wanted to live. And so don't let, right? Like the last 2 months have gone pretty fast, right? And for a lot of us, we didn't get to do a lot of things we wanted to do, but think about like, what can you do in 2 months? What can you do in 6 months? Like there's so much that can change in your life. So what is it costing you? Be honest. Is it costing your happiness? Is it costing your relationship? Like if you're, my story, like I was dieting all the time. I thought about food and what I could and couldn't do like 80% of my day. It was costing me everything with my health, with my happiness, with our relationship. Like just like really think about that. And like, it's not a financial, it's for some of you, if you're entrepreneurs, you own a business, like there's definitely costs of not acting in those ways. But like, what is it costing you to stay stuck in your stores? What is it costing you not to act? What is it costing you not to peel back a couple layers to really see what's going on in your life? What can you shift and how can you make this better, right? And I guarantee you the cost of inaction is usually greater than the return on investment.
Well, I'd even say, even if you don't have your own business and you are, employed at a company and everything else, I would almost guarantee that's also affecting your job quality as well. Whether or not you could potentially have a job promotion, whether you could, how much of an impact you can make, right? Because I think oftentimes from our standpoint, we work a lot with entrepreneurs and other business owners and other things along those lines. But we also understand that that approach and lifestyle and that on a financial or economic aspect isn't meant for everyone, right? Like there are people that thrive and that grow massively that are managers of companies, that are employees in some realm of that, right? But and those things need to be utilized and you're a valuable asset in a company, right? Like you don't need to be the CEO in order to have impact, right? But if you are having things that are affecting you, I guarantee it is also affecting your job quality and whether or not you are being overlooked for promotions or looking for different positions or whatever on whatever it may be on those things. So oftentimes you guys as well, I'm not, I'm a cog in the wheel of this company. Yes, but that may be true, but I guarantee that cog is a very vital aspect of what that company does, and being able to see that if you grow, you also bring more to the table, which also increases your value of what you have in your life.
Right. It's like we always talk about, if you want your world to change yourself, right? Like when you take care of yourself, your relationships get better, you become a better parent, you are better at your job, your happiness increases. Like there's literally no side effect to taking care of yourself.
You are your best investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Always.
Taking care of yourself, pulling back those layers, really looking at it and getting honest, like we said, with where you are and where you want to go. So just some really good questions to ask yourself is like, where do you want to be? Where are you going to be if you don't act? And then decide, right? And so if this is something that speaks to you, if you want to talk to us, if you want to talk about what we do, we would love that. Obviously, like, we love you guys. We're going to show up and serve you guys all the time. But if you're like, wow, I realize there's something going on I really need to shift, and you want to jump on a call with us, reach out. We'd love to talk to you. We've got group programs. We've got one-on-one coaching. So we're here for you guys. We want to help you guys really become the best version of yourself. So
well, if this landed for you guys, if this is speaking to you and you feel that motivation right now, do something right now. Right? Like, I think that's the most important thing, because I know in my life, and I know every other person we've ever talked to is like, well, I get that motivation, I get that drive to do it, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, okay, I got better things to do. I'll wait for an hour. I'll wait for tomorrow. I'll wait for everything. And that emotional drive, that spark you may have right now by seeing these things has dissipated. And when we move through, everything we do is based off our feelings and our emotions, right? And if you have that internal fire right now, do something to get leverage on yourself right now, right? Like that's the one thing that we try to do when we come up with a game plan and a map for our clients that we work with is what can we do right now that's going to sign you up for something that motivates you, but gets leverage on you that you're going to follow through with the decision that you feel right now in this moment in time, right? Like it's not putting it off for later when you feel like it, because right now, if you got that energy, you got those things going, find something right now in this moment in time. That means reaching out to us and contacting us. Sorry. Do so right now in this moment in time, right? If it is signing up for a program, if it is signing up for, an event to do, whatever it may be that may not be canceled right now. But do something right now so you can get leverage on yourself so you will follow through with the action that you want to take.
Awesome. All right, guys. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have questions, anything you want to chat with us about, we'd love to hear from you. If you found value, please feel free to share this. The more people that hear it, the better. All right, guys. Hope you're having a great Wednesday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye, y'all.